I was a high school jock. I played high school football. We were state champions 3 out of my 4 years in high school. But when I was about 4 years old, I experienced some deep, severe, traumatic abuse from a family member that I never really told anybody until I was about 21 years old through a friend. When I was younger, my mother battled tremendously with depression. I would often hear my mom say that she didn't want to be here anymore and that she wanted my dad to, so to speak, take her out of this world. It was very hard for a young boy to hear, and she thought I wasn't listening. But really I was. And as a young child, it's very difficult to hear that. At the age of 13, I experimented with drugs for the first time. When I took drugs for the first time, it started off with pot. And when I experienced pot for the first time, I felt like I was whole. I felt like something inside of me was complete. I began to have friends of mine that I never thought I would have. I mean, friends of mine who loved to be around me. We thought that we were the cool kids, but it felt something inside of me. It felt something that I thought that I was missing. That this was something that I needed. I was in a car accident with this girl I was dating that nearly took my life. And when we flipped and hit another car, and I didn't have my seatbelt on, and I hit the windshield, and it nearly killed me. And just 2 or 3 months later, this same girl that I was dating comes up to me and tells me that she doesn't know if she can go without cheating on me. And that devastated me. You talking about rejection. That began to down spiral all the way. I drank every night. I did everything I could to erase those feelings of rejection. There was times I wanted to kill myself. I laid there in my bed and my world was spinning and didn't know where my life was headed. And it was almost like I felt like the Holy Spirit walked into my room. And as I was sitting there, I felt the Holy Spirit rest upon me and say, you know, you would go to the ends of the earth to tell the world that you love this girl that I was dating, and you're running away. But why is it that when it comes to my love, you run from me? Why is that? I didn't have an answer. But immediately that night, I sobered up that night. For just that night. And I felt like I had a presence. I was in the presence of God. And so a few months went along, and I was still drinking, still doing all these things. And finally, I watched the movie The Passion of the Christ. I went back to my dorm, and I sit there and just bawled and bawled and bawled. And I said, God, you did this for me. And I gave it all to God, and I surrendered completely. And I didn't say the sinner's prayer that we hear about in church a lot. I pretty much put my hands in the air, and I told God, I cannot take this anymore. One of the things that I dealt with the most was feeling of rejection, because I knew I had to go back to all my friends and share this, and I knew that I couldn't hang around the same crowd. When I fully gave it over to God, He immediately gave me new friends. I had a young lady on that trip that night who told me that I need to come to a campus ministry that she was involved in. And within 1 month, I had hundreds of new friends. You know, when I wake up in the morning, He's there. You know, when I go to bed at night, He's there. He knows who I am. He knows my name. Even in those hard times, in those dark times when I was laying there in my bed, I didn't know where my life was going to end up, and my mom was saying these things and the abuse was taking place, He was there.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. Upon the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer bound, no more defeat. How great the